Alright, so today's video we're watching a Plat 3 Jungler Queen and Eichenwald. Now this one's a little bit interesting because sometimes best way to explain this game is that this player is actually GM on DPS and support, but they really want to learn tank, so they're on basically an account to learn tank, right? And it's always an interesting discussion on that because, for example, you know, everybody can have a different rank per role. So for them, it was like if they queued as tank, it would not go well because they're not good at tank. So they're trying to learn the tank role. But they do say that this game that they felt like they carried their team, but their teammate blamed them for the loss. So we'll find out how this one goes. All right, we're watching. Now Queen is... Watch us see how you play Queen here. Now, Queen is a hero that, if you can't play Doom, is probably one of the better tanks to play against Doom comps. That or D.Va. Not because you're playing... So when you play against Doom as D.Va, you're not playing against Doom to, like, 1v1 Doom. And if you remember when I did my matchup guide with D.Va, which you haven't seen, good video, I explained I didn't like going against Doom. And that's still the case, but it's the other part of the comp where you just basically become one less dive target for the Doom. I mean, so far, that was just kind of a team fight where I can't really say anything outside of your team played that well and you ran around in circles. So you definitely are learning tank because that's what I do on tank. You just run around in circles. And remember, they can hear you while doing this, so be careful of being too aggro. They definitely heard you. There's no way that they did not hear you. Okay. I like that you just kicked a field goal right there. Right through the both of them. Wait, what? How did they go flying? Every time I try that, they go 2 feet. Is it on cart? Oh yeah, you know, see, chat gets a little bit confused when they watch what is it called? With Queen, chat's usually used to seeing me go on the cart as Queen the whole time. So that's basically what it is like, they're like, why is there a Jungler Queen not on the cart? Because anytime I play Overwatch, I'm the one who has to be on the cart. Am I in DPS? On the cart. Am I in support? On the cart. Am I in tank? On the cart. Ask chat when they watch me flex queue right now. Where am I? On the cart. No one wants to push the cart. You said that. First of all, just so you know, first of all, and by the way, wait on your team on Queen. For anybody wondering, by the way, for people saying, "Oh yeah, you sure about that?" Look how many hours I have on the cart. Sorry, excuse me. Where's it at? All modes. I have 1,228 hours of objective time. Now tell me I'm not on the cart a lot. That's what I'm saying. I'm not memeing you when I say I'm on the cart all the time. And it's always like, can we get somebody on cart? I'm like, oh, I'm trying to be aggressive. Yeah, but I can't go on the cart. Oh, why? I don't want to. Oh, okay, have a good day. Good peel on the tracer. I'm surprised your knife actually hit. Good axe, good pull. Good ult. Okay, so like I do want to pause for a second. Like you said you wanted to learn how to tank and like improve as a tank in general. And what I'm seeing from you is you're just like going around and deathmatching. And now I'll stop for a second on this one too because there are going to be ranked games where you deathmatch, even including myself, right? Like I will have games where I deathmatch. But you're not even giving like yourself an opportunity to like group up with your team and make plays. One thing that really benefits with Junker Queen is your ability to help your team and also accidentally help your team. And what I mean by that is you're like, well, what do you mean? Well, how many times have you been going up against somebody who's on Junker Queen and they're within range of their teammates and you're on the Queen or you're on somebody in the back line and the Queen randomly hits their command and shout and saves somebody on their team accidentally and you don't get the elim? That's Queen sometimes. So you're not even giving yourself an opportunity to work with your team, to help your team survive. You're just running around in circles and you're trying to deathmatch. And you said that, like, one of the main reasons why you're playing on this account specifically is to learn tank. Right now, you're running around in deathmatch, and you're not giving yourself opportunity. You're not making it easy on your supports. And yeah, there's going to be moments where you run around and you make these, like, really cool plays, but, like, you're not even letting that happen just yet. Most of this game has been you running around in circles, running around the map, which, once again, is going to happen sometimes. Do not get me wrong. And you'll hear me say that when I'm playing. I'll be like, wow, am I in a deathmatch? Because, like, that's what it feels like, right? But, like, watch how you're playing so far, and maybe that will shift. Maybe, like, you're like, okay, this isn't going to work, and then you go to a different play style. But so far, you're spending the majority of the game just trying to get on, like, the Tracer. Chase the Tracer around. Also, be patient with your knives. It's worth. That was very nice of the brig. Oh, wait, you're with your team now. This is good. Now, focus on being at the core with your team. Much better. Now, stick with your team for a second. Just for a second. If you want to get aggressive, this is fine here, but you need some teammates with you to benefit from this play. Otherwise, you'll fall over. I'm watching. I'll see where your team's at in a second, and pause. Lucio's here. Queen's here. This is fine. I don't mind this push. As long as you have at least this, like, crew with you here, a couple people with you, you should be fine. But I want to see how this goes, because I'm very curious in something, too. I've got the health back. Yep. Good job. As long as you have your team with you. Not bad. So the tank, this is, by the way, chat, plays like this, by the way, is why I always, whenever I'm playing, I'm like, please let me get off the cart. Please let me get off the cart. And the reason why is because, like, these are the type of plays that you can make, especially as a tank, when you want to play aggressive. And so many players just want the tank to sit on the cart, AFK. And, like, this map control is how you can win and control games, but a lot of time people just don't want to do that. They're like, no, I'm not getting off that cart. I'm not getting on that cart. I'm sorry. And I'm stuck on it. And then if I do go and make this play, we get 0 value out of the play outside of build and ult charge because the cart doesn't move. Like, this has become me talking about how I can't get people to go on cart. By the way, that right there, but that aggression wasn't even the deathmatch right there. I want to point it out. That was 3 people on the team working together. That's what we haven't seen prior to that. When you're working together with people, it becomes less of a deathmatch and more playing as a core, right? If the other team's playing as a deathmatch, that's fine. But do you see what I'm saying? How, like, when they're with their team, it's a lot better than if they're just sitting there. It's good. Yep, that's a good push-in. Because your team's there. That's also why I love to push in as a tank when I have the opportunity to, because you can create that space. Got the health pack, nice. That was very nice of the Moira to fade into the team. Probably not gonna get him, but yep. That's what I say. I'm the cart pusher. I'm always on cart. Better watch out. That was certainly a knife. I do the same thing though, so I get it. Do no block. Remember, your shout is also to help your team. Okay. Now, just for a second, I want you to slow down for a second and just wait. Gotta be patient here. The more you run around in circles here, the more time is going to be wasted, and the less likely you're able to get good plays. I'm telling you right now. Like, just stay as a core. Like, you have teammates. Stay as a core. Watch out. There you go. Keep in mind, your whole team was a core during that, right? Look, there's the card not moving. Okay, I wasn't moving for a bit. Your whole team was a core right there. That was good. Now you're on the cart, which I know this play very well. Patient. Have your team group up. Have your team group up. That's on your Cassidy, not you. Best thing that your team can do is regroup. The best thing your team can do there is regroup. That's certainly an ultimate, but it's almost like it's... You're in a spot with that ult where it's like, if you save it, you may not get back in time. I do have to say this, though. And this is where, like, tanking can become one of those roles that, like, you see that and you're like, okay, what do we do? I would say in that situation, back away. Like, I know you commit an ultimate, but, like, sometimes... Your whole decision there was to use your ultimate to survive that, and because it was pretty much last team fight. For somebody saying bad ult, I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't really categorize that into the bad ult category because I need you to look at the clock, and, like, you would not have a good ultimate coming back, right? So the idea of the ultimate is that you can get out and survive, and you can be there for a regroup. In case of, like, the other way where you'd have to run back, there's 5 seconds on the clock, you get a bad ultimate, etc., right? It's not going to go as well. The mistake you made, though, is you need to run away and get out. Play to get out at that point. Don't worry about committing back to the ultimate. Just get out of the team fight and go hide behind like a... Go hide behind in like the room. Instead, you commit back and then you get rolled. You have to remember that. And keep, by the way, I want you to look at where the queen's at right now. Imagine them trying to come back with that ultimate right now. Do you see? Let's say they're using their ult right now. You see what I mean? Under why that wasn't a bad ult. Because it had to be used there. Otherwise, that was going to be the ult right there, and that would have not won a team fight with what was there, so. Here we go. We'll see how this defense goes. Now, you said your team blamed you. So far, I mean, you've been playing fine. I don't think, like, you carrying your team, I wouldn't say that this is a, what you would call like a carry. I don't think you've played bad. I don't think it's been like, oh, you're going in, getting 75 in limbs and dominating either, right? There's a lot you can work on. And I think the first step of that is recognizing as queen. The more you stay as a core with your team, obviously if somebody's out of position, that's different. But the more you're with your team as a core, the less likely they can get you, and the more likely you can benefit and help your team. Especially when, like, they can't get to you. Now, obviously, if you've watched some of the matches we played as queen, a lot of that in like, you know, when you're scrimming and playing matches is about just like poking out cooldowns and like trying to basically be the bait. That's kind of what you still do here, but you have to like kind of play around walls and play with your team. So there's a lot you can do on that one. Also, I do kind of want to point something out on this though, and that's like, you know all that poke damage you're tanking? You said that you know, your top 500 or not, or your GM on support, your GM on support, GM on DPS. Do you like when your tank sits there and just takes as much damage as possible over and over again, so you're constantly trying to catch up on heals? Because that's what you're doing right now. Use the cover a bit more. Like I'm telling you right now, you standing there taking all that poke damage from Soldier, and keep in mind this is coming from me, who will sometimes stand there and take damages as queen, and I recognize the less poke damage I take per fight, the better for my supports. You're just sitting there, taking poke damage over and over and over again. And when you're on support, you probably don't like when that happens. Obviously, unless you're building an ultimate quickly. But instead, now your supports are, like, forced to have to just spam heal you. And then everybody else in your team is going to get rolled. There you go. You went right back in. This is what I mean. Do you notice how, like... At that point, you could have regrouped with your team, got a good Mei ult off with your Mei. Instead, your reaction is to run into the team by yourself without looking where anybody is. And then, yeah, maybe you win the team fight, maybe you don't. But look what happens. You see that? Yeah, the Soldier already had ult. Exactly. So that's why, like, when you're a tank, and especially when you saying you play support and everything like that, too, think about it from the support's point of view. Did you like it when your tank stands there in the middle of the open and takes as much damage as possible? Some could argue, yes, you get ult charge quick, and some could argue, no, because, like, with new Season 9 Overwatch, it can be a lot to get your tank back up to full HP. Remember that. That 20% passive can be tough. That ultimate was a situation where, like, I get the ultimate, you went off the point, we've all been there. Heck, I mean, I've had to do that as queen, we saw that before. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, Manifesto, like, you've seen me do that in a match. Granted, I needed to use it, but it happens. Nothing you can do about it. Yep. You know, the interesting part about Doomfist block is, like, I always explain to people, and some people in chat might know what I'm talking about here, where, like, I've explained, like, trying to think of a way to explain this. Mainly because I forgot what I was talking about. I just forgot. I don't know where I was going with that. I just need to know where I was at, and I'll remember my point. Doomfist block. Ah, yes, okay. Is you can't get people not to shoot Doomfist block. Very much like Zarya Bubble. But I feel like if you're learning tank, I'm not even kidding you, okay? I want you to go into a quick play. I want you to play a few games as Doomfist and tell me how different the game feels when you have Doomfist block on cooldown. Like, when you're able to use it consistently. Because let me tell you right now, if you play a couple games of Doomfist in quick play, or you play Doomfist in general, you're going to learn real quick, wow, if they don't charge me, I don't get as much value. When they do charge me, holy crap, this is unreal. So when you do that, that's how I started to shoot Doom block less, because I started to play Doom and learn Doom a little bit, and I'm like, wow, when they charge me, I can do 10 times more than I was doing before. Remember that when you're charging a Doom. My argument here is I think it's actually more important not to shoot a Doom block than it is a Zarya Bubble. I'm just saying. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know, but like I feel like that's... I'd rather you shoot a Zarya Bubble than a Doomfist block. Obviously, you can avoid doing both, that's fine. Sometimes you have to shoot the Zarya Bubble to get out their cooldowns, but... Although, at the same time, I'm going to pause very quickly. On the flip side of that, if the Doom is a little bit out of position and the target call is to shoot the Doom block, that's different, right? You might see in some scrims and matches ranked where, like, you focus the Doom on that block because they're already at, like, a percentage of HP. Let's say the Doom's at 40% HP and you have an angle to, like, shoot them. That's different, right? That's a whole different story. If you have a Doomfist at the beginning of a team fight in a pretty safe spot and they're holding up their block and you're just shooting into them, more than likely they're going to kind of dominate you. You know what I'm saying? So it's situational in that sense, but I'm more giving you along the lines of, like, a lot of these engagements you're shooting Doom before they even have they're not going to be any follow-up except giving them a charge punch. Watch it for now. Nice pull. Solid knives. Okay, so where do you want to play from here? I'm very curious. This angle you're at's good, but you need to stay right side if you're going to even survive that. Yeah, there you go. You gravitated to the middle of the open. You went for a play in the left. They're eventually going to get you. Even though your teammate used B, that's going to be more on you being, like, slightly aggressive when you need to be able to play cover. Start thinking cover. I'm serious. Like, I know that it says you're a tank, but right now in Season 9... it doesn't mean that you can stand in the middle of the open and absolutely just dominate, even though, like, as a tank, you expect to be a bit tankier. Ain't gonna happen. You're gonna fall right over. You want to be in a spot... I'm gonna show people this because there's this tendency, right? Let me see if I can open up the Epic Pen here very quickly. This will allow me to draw and kind of showcase my point. I'm gonna show you tank position a little bit more because players tend to do this. Okay. Let's say that we're using this bottom left wall as cover where the Doom is, right? You're going to want to go here to hide, right? I'm not saying this is necessarily a good spot to hide because you have sight lines here, but I'm just trying to make a point here, okay? That's kind of how you're going to play the angle, right? The furthest you'll be is maybe where the Doomfist is at. Maybe. But a lot of tanks tend to do this. They play here in the direct center, okay? And you know the idea of cover. You're like, okay, when they shoot at me, I'm going to go here. But what's the problem? Why are you playing direct center in the middle of the open as a tank? Are you seeing this? Why are you playing directly in the center to go this far over when you can play here or here on the left and right and have way less time to get behind a wall? And I find, and sometimes I do this too, so this is where I've learned a lot of this, is as you win team fights, you have a tendency to end up on this middle line. But if you really want to focus on playing good positioning and playing good as a tank and playing well as a tank, right? You want to be playing more towards these sides of cover to back away, right? So you have those sight lines, because you're going to have the same sight lines at this point. Unless you're getting somebody over here, which you shouldn't even be having to deal with, it's going to be a lot harder to get you. But so many tanks gravitate right into the middle, and then when they try to run away, it's too late, or they end up losing too much HP, and you can't catch up on heals. So remember that. Every team fight, you reset back to the good positioning, and try not to gravitate towards the middle, as like a team fight is started. That makes sense? Is that the same for DPS too? Yeah, I mean... There's going to be times you end up in the middle because of long team fights, and that's okay. It's more of like the pre-fight stuff, where like you're just taking too much poke damage, or like you're ready to go, but you're playing in the middle of the open. See what I'm saying? Like all the heroes will have that, but as a tank, even more so. Because as a tank, like, you're going to take the majority of the initial damage, and if you're even remotely trying to go that far away to get away, that's where you start to get rolled. Anyway, I hope that makes sense from, like, how I'm trying to, like, showcase that, and what you've done a few times, you gravitate more towards the middle, and you just get rolled. So, here you go. Vesper, thanks for the 6 months of camera. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. All right, chat, where did the Jungler Queen just get rolled at? Oh, directly in the center. Do you see what I mean? How you're coming out of spawn here to try to go to the point, but you're not playing angles, so you run right to the cart and you just sit in the middle? You see what I'm talking about? You have no chance to back up. The moment you back up, you have nowhere to go. Because you're playing directly in the middle. Exactly what we're trying to say to you. It's just a play that, like, eventually you need to kind of, like, learn around that as a tank, and it can take time. Be careful here. Wow, that was certainly an EMP. That was certainly an ult by Doom. Okay, what do they have? At this point, I want you to think about what they have. What are they going to do? Hide. By the way, if you keep trying to re-peek this area right now, you're going to fall over. I'm telling you right now. So stop, like, trying to peek this corner and let your BAP keep you alive, but I want you to think about something. What do they have? If you sit out of position right here, they're going to Kiriko out you and probably roll you. So you need to be the aggressor, which you really can't be. Oh, wait, you didn't give your support time there. Now you're in the middle of the open, and now you ulted into a wall. Now, this could go well for you because it's going to be like an all-in type of situation for the teams. Should be winnable for you. Kiriko's not paying attention to their Sojourn's HP in the back. So as long as... Yeah, you should win this. Nice axe. Yeah. That all started with a Kiriko trying so hard to DPS you that they basically left the Sojourn at low HP, and then you win the team fight. Watching. Team fight for you. Good aggression with your team. Building half your ult back. Not bad. Nice pull. Oh, by the way, your Soldier 76 ults have been top tier. Bit too aggro, by the way. Bit too aggro. You're in the middle of the open. You have no cover. And there was the point we were trying to show again. You sat in the middle of the open, you went to go run to cover, you had to run a mile to get to that cover, you have to turn around in front of a bunch of them to even have a chance, and you get rolled. You see what I'm saying? Alright, here we go. Nice boop on point. I don't know if this will help your team, but that was a good boop. And there you go. Your team lost that, and it's a good discussion to have, because you talked about how you felt like you carried the team. Your team said you threw. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's either. I don't think you carried your team, and I don't think you threw. I do think that you have a lot that you could fix and work on that I think as a tank player would make you so much better. I really want you to focus on two things. Stop taking so much pre-fight damage. That's something that I've learned a little bit recently as we saw through scrims and matches and stuff. Like, when you take a little bit too much pre-fight damage, you can kind of put your supports at, like, this, like, unique spot. It doesn't mean you won't take pre-fight damage. It's just, like, when you're taking pre-fight damage, also have a good fallback spot. And then two, obviously, goes back to what we were talking about, is stop ending up in the middle of team fights and then running the mile to get to cover. Play around cover, understand where your cover is, and then as a team fight is reset, you reset back to a good position. Don't keep gravitating towards the middle, and then next thing you know, you get rolled. That is where, like, as a tank player, you weren't doing that a lot. You spent a lot of the time just like, I'm focused on this one target. I'm going for that target. I'm running in. I'm going there, etc. But this wasn't a case of, like, you were carrying it or you were throwing. It was just like your team had a lot to work on, a lot of wasted ults, a lot of different stuff like that. So work on that stuff. I think you'll see improvement. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to all three channels if you haven't. All three YouTubes. We have a lot of, we have everyday uploads, a lot of awesome videos. If you want to submit your own, look in the description below. You'll see my Discord. Also, leave a comment. It helps. So leave a comment. What are some heroes you'd like to see, too? We've been asking that a few times. I'm very curious. We also record these live on stream, so look in the description below. You'll see, look at below the webcam. You can see the Twitch chat. We have a lot of fun here. With that being said, hope you have an amazing day/night.